Shabbat Shalom, Shabbos, friends. Shabbos. In the Zumagog. So happy to see you guys. I keep looking here because I see you on the screen, but the camera's there, so hi. Here we are. To our brothers and sisters, the 200,000 some odd Jews who are in the Ukraine right now, we sing with you. To all of our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine, our human family, we know the Shabbat is a difficult Shabbat, of course, for all of you and for all of us here as we watch. But we send peace because we can't forget the power of Shalom, the power of peace, and the power of those who hold that vision and that flame. So for all that is holy, for all of the angelic spirits who guide us now, may they also watch over that region and all of us here, wherever you are. On page 5 and 6, I see actually page 6. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hashalei, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachi
As you turn to page 7 and 8 in your Siddur, the words of one of our poets. We've become so familiar with this phrase that was lifted from this beautiful piyut, this beautiful poem. Higalena, reveal yourself, dear friend, and spread over us tonight this canopy of peace, this Sukkat Shalom. This phrase will repeat itself again at the end of the service when we invite ourselves to lie down tonight in peace, and we know that in our hearts and our minds, this happens at a number of levels. We're hoping that whatever we brought in tonight that needs peace in our own hearts and minds might be covered over with some cloak of love, some enveloping presence that might allow us to hold what it is that needs shlemut, wholeness. But also we pray tonight as we chant this for a world where the shelter of peace is made manifest, where it is already a given that we protect one another, that we look out for one another, that there is a sense of commonality that transcends our differences and holds us in dignity. So we chant to the one who holds all of these. May we also find it tonight. Higalena.
Higale, gale, gale, ufros, ufros, chavivi Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Shir Chadash
Page 11 and 12. Psalm 96.
Kol haaretz shiru
Ladonai
Baruch Shemo
Muranam Yidame Aleihem Shamru Eidosav V'chog Nasan Lamo Adonai Eloheinu Ato Anisom El Nosa Yisrael Lachem V'nokeim Alali Loisom Romemu Adonai Eloheinu השתחוו ליד קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. Please rise if you're able. Psalm 29, page 19 and 20. Take a moment, everyone, as you're standing here, just to feel your feet on the ground beneath you. Just to bend your knees slightly and just feel the earth beneath you meeting the weight that you give. The allowance for gravity, for your shoulders to relax, and just to feel the weak in your body. We carry everything in our bodies. And taking a deep breath together, just whenever you're ready to be seated. As you sit, feel the solidity of the chair that you're sitting on holding you. Noticing the sounds around you. Your eyes are closed, that's great. With each breath, making some room for Shabbat. Not as an idea, but as a lived experience of stopping, of shvita. So what might it be like for you now just to give yourself a half smile, not a full one, just a very gentle half smile that acknowledges that just a little bit of release can go a long way. And if you'd like to open your eyes to find the words of our ancestors, please find them on page 22 and 21 on the bottom. In the fine print on the bottom, the last line. We send this out to the world. Blessed is the name of your numinous presence throughout all time and space. Oh, shame. Take another minute, everyone, if your eyes are not already closed, just to sink a little bit more into Shabbat. Noticing the quality not only of your body, but of the space behind you and in front of you, above you. What's your sense? much room you have to expand. In this week's Torah portion, we hear the words, Dai, or Dayam, it was enough. In this moment, what would it be like to hear those words? You have enough, you are enough. Just for now. And breathing together. For some reason, for the last 3 days, I've been thinking a lot about Passover, about Pesach, about tyranny, about freedom, about the power of love and the power of the possibility of freedom. And I just happened to receive this new Passover Haggadah from the great Marsha Falk that will be hitting the stores, I think, this Pesach. I received an early copy, and this is what she's placed at the beginning of the moment when we're opening up the door to receive those who are hungry and those who are in need of a place to rest. She placed, of course, Emma Lazarus, the new Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman. With a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp cries. She, with silent lips, give me, you're tired, you're poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. We, a people who know a thing or two about exile, we have braved the worst of those brazen, golden-armed megalomaniacs, and we have sung our song, and we will sing our song, and so will all people sing their song too. And so we sing to the power of Shabbat, the mother of exiles, the Shechina, the Chadodi, the Katkala, our people's serenade to her power, page 25 and 26. לקראת כלה
בני שבת
נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
שמור וזכור בדיבורך
השמיענו
השמיענו
אלוהיך אדוני אחד
אדוני אחד
ושמו אחד
ושמו אחד
שם תפארת
לשם ותפארת ולתחילה
לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת ובנך כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם מעשה ומחשבה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה קום נצאי מתוך לבבך רבת שלווה בנך לחברך והוא יחלוק עלייך ניגש
לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התנערי אל פרדי נפשי לבדי תפתח עמי אריה בן ישי בית אלוהים קורבן אל נפשי נפשי נעלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באור אורי 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 שתעברי כהורתו עלייך ניגש אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
לקראת כלה בני שבת
Shabbat Hamalka Lecha Dodi Likras Kalai Yanadai 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 V'nei Shabbat Nekamela Lecha Dodi Likras Kalai Yanadai 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 V'nei Shabbat Remain standing if you can. I'm sorry. I usually catch you before you do that. But we'll stand. You can sit if it's too much for you. We're just going to pray for those who need healing tonight. And so wherever you are, bring loved ones into your heart if you feel called to put them into the chat area. That way we can all read them. That's your choice, but we're with you. Whether you write it in or not, we pray for healing on every level. Nothing is too small for prayer, for healing. So we pray tonight for Stephen Schulman. And pray tonight for all of those who are on the screen. There'll be names of loved ones in our community. Please read them or scan them. The words of this song are from Psalm 147. It can be found in your Siddur, in the back of your Siddur on page 113. Atsutan Mune Mispar Lakol Chavi Lekulam Shemo Yikra Mind, in heart and spirit for all of those in this community who are in need of healing. We bring to heart so many loved ones. I can see them in my mind's eye, those who are with us and whose illness we are carrying with us too. May God bless them with healing. Lift their burdens. May our hands and our hearts and our voices lift them and include them amongst all of those who need healing tonight. Even though it's Shabbat, Shabbat Himu Zoak, let healing come, let it come soon. And let us say together, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Amen. You may be seated, everyone. I'm nervous to speak into the mic. Is it okay, or it's okay? All right. Sorry, guys. All right. Good Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Whew. Prayer really, really just brings us into a place that I just need to be in that place all day. It's good to be with all of you. If you've made it here tonight, so happy to see you with us. If you're in the Zoomagog also, good Shabbos wherever you are. In a moment, we're going to invite those who are here for the first time that might want to say hello. So please say hello. But first, I have a couple of brief announcements for you. Tonight's music is being sponsored very generously by Ana Luisa Weckman, who is might be one of our only, if not our only, Mexico City members down in Romemu, Mexico. Ana Luisa we're opening up a branch in Tulum also, just to skin you. Why not? To remember the yahrzeit of her mother, Berta, and her cousins, Carmina and Rosa Angelica. So we thank you, Ana Luisa, so much. I don't know where you are, but you must be here. And you're an inspiration to all of us to step in and in a similar way, in a like-minded way also, both support this community and its beautiful music and also remember loved ones. Thank you. Gracias. This Sunday, Mandala Cafe and Romemu will be together. The community kitchen is a family day. It's this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Inviting everybody to distribute both winter outerwear as it's become seasonably but oddly freezing again. Just to distribute winter outerwear this coming Sunday across the street at the Romemu Center. Also, we use that kitchen to make about 200 meals that we give out on the street corner over there. I know that I saw David Willinger here, other volunteers who have come many Sundays come by and participate. And also, be nourished in a different way. If you are a parent, there is a Parenting on a Prayer workshop by Rabbi Amy Grossblatt Pesach. It's a 4-session workshop that actually is preparing the way towards our Shabbat of the Child. How many people here remember Shabbat of the Child at Romemu? Shabbat of the Child is the only, as far as we know, the only synagogue across the country that actually dedicates a Shabbat to the protection of children. and to raising awareness about child abuse and other forms of abuse towards children. And actually, it was 2 years ago that our last Shabbat as a community was Shabbat of the Child 2 years ago. And so that's coming up in April. But as a preparation for that, we're doing courses on parenting. You know, parenting, especially during a pandemic, is incredibly difficult. So that is available online and on site March 3rd. It's starting March 3rd, so in 2 weeks. Never too late. It isn't ever too late to become a Bee Mitzvah at Romemu. Lifelong learners can start a Bee Mitzvah journey. It starts March 1st. I can go on and on about, and people here could go on about how powerful it was for them to have a Bee Mitzvah. You know, in many ways, people say that had they known how powerful it could be when it's like it's lost on youth, right? So the youth, the Bee Mitzvah is a really amazing, incredibly powerful life cycle moment that is in some way underappreciated because it happens at such a young moment. So Bee Mitzvah journey, never too late. Also, seriously seeking renewal with Rabbi Scott Perlow, our amazing Brooklyn rabbi. Brooklyn, on March 2nd, Scott's going to be teaching about renewal, which is a good thing. Love that he's teaching a course on renewal. That's a good thing. Also, everybody, a book launch for the amazing Rabbi Jill Hammer, whose book on an earth-based approach to an earth-based Kabbalah of dreams, under Torah. That's February 27th. It's coming Sunday at 7:30 online. I hope people register for that. Nobody has ever regretted studying with your amazing wife. It's just incredible, incredible. So, Something in the Water, a documentary discussion, March 2nd as well. That's going to be brought by the Social Action Committee of Romemu to talk about the ideological divide in our country to some degree through the vehicle of this documentary, and that's March 2nd at 7 p.m. March registrations are open for all of our courses and daily minyan, Hasidic masters, and so on. All of that is available as well. And next Shabbat, God willing, is Refugee Shabbat, a project of Hayes, and we'll be honoring that as well. And given what's happening now in the world, could not come at a more propitious moment. It's really intense to have that juxtaposition. So that'll be next Shabbat. And don't forget that Purim, and we could use a little Purim. It's going to be on March 16th, Wednesday the 16th, both here at Romemu and also online as well. Megillah reading, a family Purim carnival, and Rich, where are you? Here, Rich Orloff has created a wonderful spiel, Esther in the Spotlight. I heard them at some rehearsals the other night. It's going to be really beautiful and necessary. And also, Megillah reading will be in the morning. We'll have a Megillah reading in the morning. Tomorrow morning, Rabbi Kolorestis and I will be leading the open book at 8:45, followed by online services and on-site services, and there'll be a baby in our midst. A big mazel tov to Juan and Elisa, not Alina, but Elisa, on their babies naming the Shabbat. Sorry about that typo. We love you nonetheless. Please forgive us. And we can't wait to have your deliciousness with us in this space with your family as well. Okay, those are more announcements than I expected. There were more, right? I was like, okay, thank you for your patience. 4 minutes of announcements. Anybody here for the first time want to say hello in our chat area? Anybody? Chatting? And anybody here that'd like to say hello, you can just stand up. We don't need a microphone. Just belt it so I can hear it, and then I'll repeat it to people who are online if you could. So, yeah, your name and maybe where you're from? I'm Avigor? Yeah, I'm from Connecticut, but I dorm in Manhattan. You dorm in Manhattan, you're from Connecticut. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Where do you dorm at? Like for what school? Hunter. Awesome. Thank you. All right, that was perfect modeling. Thank you, Avigor. Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Casey. I've had the pleasure of experiencing Romemu on Zoom, actually in the process of my conversion to Judaism, so grateful for that. And this is my first time here in person.
Mazel tov.
And
So,
I will also be playing Esther in Esther in the Spotlight.
oh, nice.
Perfect.
Wow, okay, so just for those who are in the Zoom, so Casey is here, first time in person, but through Casey's conversion process to Judaism, Romemu was online, was a resource, Casey said. And tonight's the first time that you're here in person, on site, and also is playing the lead role in the Purim Spiel. So way to jump in, Casey. Go right in. Welcome. Here's the Talit. Right now. Okay, great to have you. Wow, wonderful. Okay, next to you, Casey. Yeah.
I'm Amber. I moved to New York from Oregon 6 years ago.
Amber's here from Oregon. She moved to New York 6 years ago, here for the first time.
And I'm going to be the backup dancer.
And the backup dancer for Esther. Awesome. That's pretty good. God bless you. And behind you, yeah.
Hi, my name is Matt. I am here. My friends have been here before, but my first time. I'm here from Boston. Thrilled to see my classmates up there with you.
Wow, Baruch Hashem. Nice to have you. Nice to have you davening with us. Wow, I'm so impressed with people who want to become rabbis. Really amazing.
He's becoming a rabbi and a cantor.
And a cantor, even more impressive. Anybody else? Yes. Hey.
Hi, I'm Ricardo. I'm Portuguese South African, so that's the accent.
Ricardo?
Portuguese South
No, but your name is?
Ricardo.
Ricardo. Okay, hi Ricardo. Friend of Sheeran.
And I'm a Catholic priest at St. Francis Xavier on 16th.
Ooh, maybe that's why Passover was so heavy in my heart. Because for the first, I think, 7 or 8 years of Romemu, I did an interfaith Seder at St. Francis Xavier every year. For 7 years with so welcome. Nice to have you with us, really. I would say, like, welcome to the church, but it's like you're in the church. I mean, it's good to have you in synagogue with us.
One more.
And one more. Oh, hi.
How you doing? I'm Mark, and I am currently living in South Florida. I'm from a lot of places, but I currently live in South Florida, and I'm going to be up here part-time in Brooklyn.
Awesome. In Brooklyn. So Martin is here, everybody, from the synagogue. He's up from Florida. He's come from a lot of places, but he's up here now. He's also going to be hanging out in Brooklyn, which always gets us excited. Brooklyn's a cool place.
Here on the recommendation of Rabbi Rizzi Hyman,
Oh, nice. Mishkan, Chicago. Awesome. Awesome. Mishkan in Chicago. That's a shout out. Mishkan, Chicago. We love Mishkan, Chicago. All right, anybody in the synagogue? I don't see anybody, but I see, Charlie and Deirdre from Manhattan. Welcome. And Barbara. Marco. Alyssa's mother. Alyssa's mother's here from Florida. And then Joni Miller just said hello to everybody on behalf of Ambassador Joni. Love it. Just to keep you up on what's happening in the synagogue, because, there's all kinds of stuff happening, so, Oh, beloved community, this is what it is. We come together and we remember our humanity together. Let's rise, if you're able, for the call to prayer. You find it on page 31 and 32. Sing, everybody. Sing through your mass. Sing. If you don't know the words, there are no words. Just sing. Because it feels good. Because it's an act of defiance. This is God's house, not ours. All human beings are welcome here. All colors, all creeds, all genders, all humans. together. Hamevorach
לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Continue. Chad, Shechina. Eloheinu roach haolam. Shebidvaram ariva ravim. We bless that which passes. We can't grasp day any more than we can grasp you, God. You slip through our fingers, but we bless that which passes. Baret yom v'layla golelet or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavira yom v'yalayla, umavdilan ben yom ben layla. Yatz v'ot shema. Help us, God, to attune to life cycles. Not holding on when we are to let go, and not letting go when we are to hold on. Elachaya v'kayemet, talitim loch aleinu le'olam Rucha Shechina Hamariva Arabi Mitzvot on page 36, we prepare for Shema. With a love beyond time and space, we have been loved by you. Through your Torah, through your mitzvot, through the ways of our ancestors. When we lie down and when we rise up. Yavanecha Adasir Imenu Ayayane Olami Baruch Atav Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu
The two great loves, the love of the one for us, the love of the many for the one. And so the beloved says, love me by loving the world. On page 39 and 40, the Ahavta.
ואהבת את
walk in the ways of love. Plant seeds of generosity that you might reap what you sow. Be careful lest you be led astray by your ego, driving ambition will close up heaven's gate. The rains will not fall. The mother the earth will become depleted, and all of us will suffer. Be careful, very carefully. Shamer lulachem, penite levavchem, v'sartem v'avatem elohim achirim, serving alien gods. You bring destruction on yourselves. So really be careful. Remember, teach your children these values, these principles, not once but always, when you're walking, when you're lying down, when you're standing, when you're sitting. Make your house into a place where Torah is your banner. Remind you, we may have remember, item kedushim lechem, ani Adonai lechem asher tzidchem.
אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוציא אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Even in the midst of today, a bright light shone. The sublimity of history, the decadence and the degradation as we see in the Ukraine, and the profound historical moment where the first African American woman is nominated to the Supreme Court. What a day. So the possibility of freedom finds us. The possibility of tikkun finds us. It's not too late to keep growing one small moment at a time, fixing what is broken, correcting what has been left unaddressed. On page 47, 48, we call together with our ancestors Moshe and his sister Miriam and all of the Israelites who sang a song of freedom, B'simcha rabbah, with great joy.
מי כמוך
Baruch
Ata Adonai, Ata Adonai, God, Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu
Fros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'al Yerushalayim. Please rise if you are able.
Sham Reuven Yisrael et HaShabbat Basod et HaShabbat V'Toratam Asa Adonai Hashamayim Haaretz Ubayom Hasheni Shabbat
That's the Kaddish on page 52 on the bottom of the page. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbi. Almadi v'rachirusei yamlich machusei. V'chayekon u'yamekon. U'chayrikol beit Yisrael. Me'agala. U'mizman kol v'yimeru. Yesh Rabba mevorach alam me'amayo
Yitbarach ve'yishtabach Yitpa'ar v'yitroman ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh ve'yitalam Shmei dekudsha ve'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata Tush v'chata v'nechemata Damiran ve'oma ve'meru Amen.
Silent Amidah can be found on page 53. There are a number of options. Bring your own words, your own silence as we stand together in the presence of the divine. Every year, as the Torah closes the second of the 5 books of Moshe, Shemot or Exodus, we read, can you make sure that it's hard? Thank you. We read about the instructions and the construction of the Mishkan, the portable desert sanctuary. It's still there. Okay now? Okay. Every year as the Torah comes to a close of the second of the 5 books of Moshe, known as Shemot or names, but really Exodus, it brings us into the tabernacle story, the story of the Mishkan, that portable presence in the desert. The Torah dedicates no less than 4 full parshiyot to talking about the sanctuary. The detailed directions given by God to Moses and the people. And given that that amount of textual territory has been given to the tabernacle, the significance of the project can't be underestimated. And yet, as I've said here in the past, we're one to follow the flow of the narrative from Genesis to Exodus, from Canaan to Egypt, from the patriarchal families that descend to enslavement to the nation that arose to freedom through the waters of Yam Suf, the Reed Sea. One would not likely have seen it coming. Sure, the revelation at Sinai was foreshadowed in the Torah when Moses says to Pharaoh, we're going to worship on that mountain. And it also makes sense. We were slaves, and now we get directions on how to live a holy life. But what gives with the Mishkan? Like, what's up with the tabernacle? What's the narrative motive? What is the possible theme line? They're at Sinai, and out of nowhere, build a tabernacle. Okay, that's interesting. And not only is it interesting, but it takes up the entirety of the last half of the second book, which deals with slavery and liberation and the story of our people's redemption, and then the tabernacle. It doesn't fit. What's the tabernacle got to do with Exodus? Okay. Some have said that the tabernacle's purpose is to be kind of a miniature Sinai, almost like a souvenir. Once they left Sinai, they had to bring the tabernacle with them. Maybe more profoundly, it's the moment or the locus of revelation happens at Sinai so intensely and so they're enjoined, like, to bring it with them into their lives, into their future. Okay. There are some commentators who say that the tabernacle's purpose is a concession to the Israelites' need for something more concrete than an abstract God whose voice they heard at Sinai. They needed something to hold on to. And instead of making golden calves, maybe we'll give them a golden altar. Great. But in this week's Torah reading, we're offered a bit of a deeper look, I think, into the raison d'etre of the Mishkan. And now, it has always held a bigger purpose in our goal to live a holy life. And in order to understand it, we have to know that tomorrow morning's Parsha, the reading tomorrow morning, which is the beginning of the end of the book of Exodus, as I said, begins oddly. Moshe gathers the people around, Vayakel Moshe. Moshe brings Keilah, brings the community together. And if you're reading the first verse tomorrow morning, you're thinking he's bringing them together to say, okay, now that we have all the directions, and now that we know exactly what to do, we're about to do it, everybody. That's why he's bringing them together, but the Torah doesn't say that. Moses brings the people together to talk about the construction of the tabernacle and then begins with Shabbat. It begins with Shabbat. We interrupt the absolute dedication and construction of the tabernacle to give you verses on what it is to keep Shabbat. Make sure you don't burn any fire in your settlements and where you live. Moshe gives them Shabbat. How are we to understand this strange opening? The rabbis of the Talmud understand this, that this is the classic example of the categories of forbidden work on Shabbat in the future are all based in the categories of permitted work in the tabernacle. Isn't that obvious to all of you? I know all of you are thinking, wow, I would have come up with that also. Like, yeah. From here we see the 39 categories of law that are definitionally part of what it was to build the Mishkan. Those become the categories of work that we're not supposed to do on Shabbat. Okay. Works. I think it's something else. I think Shabbat's placement at the very beginning of the end of the building of the Mishkan tells us something about the nature of Shabbat, the nature of building a Mishkan, and fundamentally and lastly about what it is to leave Egypt once and for all. Vayitzav Moshe vayaviru kol b'machaneh. And Moses commanded and said, let a voice go out into the camp. Ish v'isha, woman and man, al ya'asu od melacha. Don't do one more thing, litrumat mishkan, for the sake of a gift for the tabernacle. Vaykalei am mehavi, and the people stopped bringing. At the heart of the narrative of the final moment of building the Mishkan in the desert, this tabernacle whose purpose, whose deeper purpose, not yet sure. There's a yearning, a desire from the people to bring as much as they can. They can't stop. Once the floodgates have opened, once the spigot has been turned on, they just bring, and they bring a capital campaign worthy of the greatest capital campaigns that have ever been run. Just the whisper of it, and all of a sudden it was, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Moshe sends out a messenger and says, stop. Too much. Chapter 36, verse 7, V'hamlacha hayeta dayam. And the mlacha, what they brought was the word, you can hear it from the Passover Seder, dayam, dayenu. What they brought was dai. It was enough. It was so much, it was enough. And then the last word, it was enough, l'chol hamlacha la'asot ota vehoter, and extra, surplus. At its face, prima facie, this verse is kind of simple. Euphemistically means more than enough. It was dai and hoter, extra. But for the commentators throughout the last 2,000 years, they got caught on that phrase. Was it dai, enough, or was it extra? If it was extra, it wasn't enough, it was more than enough. Was it enough, or was it more than enough? Now you might say to me, oh, please. It just means there was enough and there was left over. But for the rabbis of the Talmud, the Midrash, Kabbalah, Hasidism, the last 2,000 years, they have struggled to understand the paradox of something that can be enough, but then more than enough. Dai v'hoter. I remember there was a point in the last couple of years, Ariel, my wife knows, and people in the shul know that I was obsessed with the greatest shul man, the great showman. It was it wasn't a slip, I was joking, but the greatest showman. I gave a sermon on Kol Nidre, right? About that intense moment at the end of the movie where from now on, at the heart of all change, there's a moment where we say, from now on, it will be different, from now on. And there's a song that I don't know, people have seen the movie, I'm sure Eden has seen 1,000 times, could tell us about it, where one of the characters sings a song called Never Enough. Anybody know that song? Ever hear that song? Never enough, never, never, never enough, never, never. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough. Never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it will never be enough. This song, sung by this character, at least to some extent, is a song of an empty ghost, a sense that no matter how many times she or anyone would be on stage, it would never be enough adulation, enough adoration, enough applause. It could never ever fill the hole at the center of the soul that can't ever, ever be filled by that which is really not what it's looking for. Never enough. Stars and Golden Globes and Olympic medals. It would never be enough. If I'm empty at my core, it won't be enough. At the heart of the Mishkan project is a desire to give and to give and to give. At the heart of the human project, of the creation project, the tabernacle, we're told, is a microcosm of the world itself. It uses the same language in the Torah as God's creation of the world in the first chapter of Genesis. To build the tabernacle is nothing less than to build the world just as God herself did. And at the heart of this Build the World project is the recognition that people want to keep building. And they will keep building until some leader, someone strong enough who knows that to build and build and build, to always say it can't ever be big enough, strong enough, gold enough, gorgeous enough, perfect enough. I can't ever have my name on enough buildings in gold. That kind of insatiable hunger at the heart of an empty ghost is dangerous. It subverts the Mishkan project. It undermines it. It undoes it. Someone who doesn't know how to say enough. Someone who's never heard that you know you can ruin a thing if you keep adding to it. And not only that, it will never stop. When will you be rich enough, strong enough, secure enough, right enough? You'll spend your whole life and it will never, ever be enough. Because it couldn't ever be enough. The rabbis say in the Talmud that one of God's holiest names is Shaddai, Shin Daled Yud, Shaddai. Anybody ever hear that, Shaddai, that name, Shaddai? Probably from the ancient Semitic word for breast. It is God as nourishing, God as giving. But the rabbis play with that word and say it's actually an acronym for Sha'amar Le'olami Dai. That God said to the world enough. And in the rabbi's imagination, the world was mitpashet. It was going and going and going. God began to create, and God's infinity said it's going to create infinitely. And then God had to scream, says the Talmud, and say, okay, enough. Enough. Shabbat is that day when we say we've had enough. At the heart of the Mishkan, at the heart and the beginning of this week's Torah portion, when Moses is about to tell them all about how to build the world, how to build a society, a culture, build a family, build your career and your resume, Moshe says, make sure you have Shabbat first. Because if you have Shabbat at the heart of your life, the principle of Shabbat, Shabbat that says what you have when Shabbat comes in on Friday night, that's what you have when Shabbat goes out on Saturday night. You're not hoarding on Shabbat. You're not asking for more on Shabbat. You're not buying and building. You're focusing on the things that you want more of in your life that you should be amassing. Friends, family, stopping. That ambition can kill us. Or in Heschel's term, without Shabbat, if we don't turn from the works of creation, we only create work. And all of life becomes commodified. Everything is another moment for us to gather in and place on our infinite ladder towards nowhere. So of course, as we begin to build the Mishkan, Moshe says, stop everybody. Make sure you have you have enough. Make sure you don't get lost in the world of Mishkan building. But sure, Mishkan building is key. Hoter, there's more. It won't be enough for you only to have enough. You'll work during the week. You'll want to work, you'll want to grow, you'll want to expand. But if you don't have Shabbat, if you don't have some principle that grounds you underneath it all, then you will always be a slave. The end of the book of Exodus ends with a Mishkan to teach us that just as we went down into slavery from the land of Canaan, if we want to go up out of slavery, we have to go up with a sacred tabernacle with Shabbat at the center. Because if we leave Egypt only to serve all the other forces that will rob us of our dignity and of our humanity, then we are also still slaves. Shabbat is political warfare, to use Audre Lorde's term. It is the ultimate self-care of our human image and our divine possibility. And so, of course, it's going to end that way, everybody. Mishkan building invites that. It's hard not to think, as we watch yet another megalomaniac, yet another man drunk on power, yet another leader who puts more at the center of everything that he has done, who sees danger everywhere, and yet another nation to usurp with all of the political and complicated nuances of the geopolitical realities. We are at our hearts seeing what happens to the human being when they do not know when to say enough, when to rest in this teaching of our Torah. All that is sacred, all that is holy to us is being violated at each moment as we sit here. And its repercussions, its profound repercussions, its ramifications, seen and unseen, will ripple to all of us. And the Torah screams to us, build the world, build it, conquer the world, but put Shabbat at the center. Put love and God and compassion and the values of the sacred at the center, or you will be eaten alive by your greed, your ego, your ambition, your insatiable appetite for never enough, never enough. There's a Rebbe named Heschel, whom I just quoted, but his great-grandfather was also named Abraham Joshua Heschel. He was known as the Abda Rebbe, the Ohev Yisrael. And he said that when he came to this Dai V'Hoter, that it was enough and then there was lecture left over. He said, much of what I just told you, and then he added this. He said, another meaning of it was enough and there was left over is that in each and every generation, each of us does what we can do. But no matter what we do, we can't finish the work. And there will be leftover. And that leftover will be up to the next generation to come along and pick it up and finish what we've started. The tabernacle was enough, but there's always room for others to join and become partners in building a world. Isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that what it's all about? I know that tonight, all of our hearts and minds are in the global realities. But I also think in my own personal life, I sometimes ask myself, where have my ambitions for more gotten in the way of my being in Shabbat? This was a week for Romemu in our local community where some programs that I ambitiously wanted to see Romemu manifest have unfortunately, well, we won't be able to keep going with some of them. You'll learn about that in the coming week. Nothing horrible, everybody, we're okay. But I see clearly, lahavdil, that sometimes I got ahead of myself. I also wanted more. More for me, more for this community, more for Jewish renewal, more for God in the world through Romemu. And I learned a lesson that, not everything that you want to have happen in the world has to happen through you. There are a lot of things that have to happen in the world that we need one another to make manifest. And when God said to the world in our myth, enough, it wasn't just that God said enough as an expression of enoughness, but also enough because from here on, I'm giving it to you guys. I can't do it all, God says. I need your partnership. That the tabernacle at its heart is a project not of human despair, but of the possibility of lifting one another to do the work. We don't want to do all the work, because then there would be nothing left for us to do together. V'asu li mikdash, make it together, God says. So Moshe began with Shabbat, and so it is. May the blessings of Shabbat, this Shabbat, bring a modicum of comfort to us as we hold this space in recognition of the radically profound ways that saying enough can change our world and the world around us, yet holding also the imperative to do more to help those who need, holding them in our hearts this Shabbat and pledging to do what we can to bring about a world that is truly built on chesed, on loving kindness. Please rise if you are able. And on that day, God will wipe tears from our faces. We lift up those whose memory is being remembered, who's being called forth tonight as we name loved ones in the chat area. On the screen in front of you, within the first 30 days, we remember Carrie Barkus, Claudia Samowitz, Marvin Arnold Bloom, Shmuel Lev Ben Asher Shifra, and Stan Rubin. In this space as well, we remember loved ones. Please say the names of loved ones out loud. Irving Gedoldig, Eddie Siegel, the Yortzeit of Richard's mom, Annette, Jessica.
My uncle Eugene Litwak.
Jessica Lewitt's uncle Eugene Litwak, Harry State, Lily State, Max Javits, Molly Javits, also those who are in the chat area as well. Ingrid Hecker, Candace Simmons. Anyone else here?
My mom, Rosalind.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Ron's mother, Rosalind. Anyone else? The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in your Siddur or on the screen. On the Siddur, it's in the back on page 116. Billy Hughes, Sr. Yitgadal v'ikadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alman divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yamechon u'b'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'agala u'b'zman kori v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam v'le'amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'elam en kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiram v'oma v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlom Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Haseh Shalom B'Mromav. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. And let us say Amen. Yehi Zichram Baruch. May their memory be a blessing. We invite you to remain standing as we pull up the slide for those who are being thanked tonight into this cup of blessing. We need to change this, so our davening leaders tomorrow will be Rabbi Mira, but tonight it was Shoshana Jedwab and our JSI Rabbinics fellow, Jackson Mercer. Nate, thank you from Full Stack, to all of our staff behind the scenes, to Grace in this in the Zumagog, Natalia on site with Jeff and Ariel, and Ryan, Victor, Justin, Jr., Freddie. That's our team. They're great. We love them. Unrelated.
Oh. It was Johnny. It wasn't me.
Okay, friends. There's a prayer that I wanted for, and it's okay. Tomorrow we'll do a prayer tomorrow for. Okay. On page 88, I think it is. Vayichulu Hashemayim v'aretz v'chol tzvam. Vayichal Elohim hayom hashvim melachto asher asah. Vayishbos v'yom hashvim mikol melachto asher asah. Vayivarech Elohim es yom hashivah Kaddish oso. Ki yivo shavas mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Tzavri chavirai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushan mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yavav v'raton inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishis ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh
Zecher letziat Mitzrayim.
kivanu v'acharta leotanu
Kidashta.
עם כל העמים ושבת
קודשך
ואהבה ורצון
הלתנו.
ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Take a look around the room, everybody. We're in person. Take a look around the Zumagog. You're on site. You're online.
Oh, say shalom b'Romav. Say shalom alein. Al kol Yisrael. Al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. May there be peace, peace, peace. Pray for peace. Shabbos, Ilana and hubby, get Shabbos. Andrew and Daniel, get Shabbos. Susan and Andrew. Shabbos, Roberta. Shabbos, Raskins. Shabbos, Stephen Rubin. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Sonia and Paul, good Shabbos. Shabbos, good Shabbos. Ana Luisa. Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Shabbos, Robin, Ariella, Leslie, Yanira, Asher Chaim. Good Shabbos, Lauren, Jeremy. Only 1 week out, we're still feeling it in here. Shabbos, Robin and John. Good Shabbos, Sharon and Zelda, Karen Green. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Bum bum ba bum ba ba bum. Bum 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 oh bum bum. Ay da 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 da. Ay da.